Are you thinking about moving to the DMV, or maybe you're just sitting at your computer right now, scrolling through Zillow, trying to figure out if this place actually makes sense? Maybe you got a job offer, maybe you're just tired of where you are, tired of the commute, tired of the lack of culture, or just ready for a new chapter. First off, let's clear up the name. If you aren't from here, when I say DMV, you probably think of standing in line to renew your driver's license. That's not what we're talking about. Here, the DMV stands for the District, Maryland, and Virginia. It's a massive interconnected organism that functions like one giant supercity, even though it spans 3 different jurisdictions. I'm Charlie Bengal, and I lead a top-producing real estate team in brokerage. I talk to people every single day who are making this move, and they all have the same fears. Is it too expensive? Is the traffic a nightmare? Are the people rude? We're going to be honest today. I'm not just going to show you the postcards of the White House. Instead, we're going to look at the lifestyle. We're going to explore the 10 deep structural reasons why moving here might be the best decision you ever make, and why, interestingly enough, once people move here, they almost never leave. Grab a coffee, settle in, let's dive into reason number 10. Number 10, location and micro-regions, the chameleon effect. I want to talk about vibe geography. The DMV works because it's a chameleon. It's not just one thing. Each pocket feels distinct, almost like you're visiting different cities. If you're coming from the Northeast, and you want historic charm, walkability, and history, you look at places like Capitol Hill or Old Town Alexandria. We're talking 18th and 19th century brick sidewalks, gas lamps, row homes that are older than most states in the country. But let's say you don't care about history. You want energy. You want to be where things are happening right now. You end up in Clarendon and Arlington, or the U Street corridor in Northwest DC. These are places where you're surrounded by people in their 20s and 30s who work incredibly hard and go out Thursday through Saturday. It's loud, it's fun, it's fast. Then flip the coin. You want suburban comfort, you want the white picket fence, and you don't want to feel isolated in a cornfield. That's Bethesda or Great Falls or Falls Church. You get the top tier schools, you get actual backyards for the dog, but this is key, you're still 30 minutes from the White House. You aren't in the middle of nowhere. And here's the part that people don't realize until they live here. You're not locked in. The borders here are fluid. You can live in Arlington in Virginia and work in Bethesda in Maryland. You can live in Silver Spring and spend your weekends at the Wharf in DC. You can move from Navy Yard to Falls Church when you have kids and still feel like you're in the same ecosystem with the same friends. You aren't choosing the DMV, you're choosing a version of it. And that version can change as your life changes. You can be single guy in the city for 3 years, followed by suburban dad a few years later without changing your job or even your dentist. That flexibility is rare. Number 9, food that locals actually argue about. Here's how you know a food scene is real. Locals fight about it. If you watch the Food Network, they'll tell you to go to a steakhouse near the Capitol. And sure, those are fine. But if you live here, you know the real food scene is in the neighborhoods. For example, take Ben's Chili Bowl in Northwest DC. If you live here, you know Ben's isn't really about the culinary experience, it's about the history. It's where MLK ate, it's where Obama went, it's a rite of passage. You go because it matters to the soul of the city, not because it's the absolute best chili you've ever tasted. And then you have the stuff we actually eat on a Tuesday, Ethiopian food in Shaw, and Adams Morgan is world class. Places like Dukum or Ethiopic isn't just fusion. This isn't inspired by, this is authentic cuisine from one of the largest Ethiopian populations outside of Africa. Then you cross the river into Northern Virginia. Korean barbecue in Annandale isn't optional, it's mandatory. Honey Pig, for example. These places are open late, they're loud and incredible. And if you haven't driven to a strip mall in Annandale at 10 p.m. for Korean barbecue, you haven't really lived here. In Maryland, it's still blue crabs. It's religion sitting at a paper-covered table with a wooden mallet and Old Bay seasoning. Isn't just dinner, it's a social event. This isn't trendy food city where everyone chases the Instagram dish of the month. It's a deep food city. You've got Michelin-starred restaurants like the Inn at Little Washington, charging hundreds of dollars, well sure, but you also have hole-in-the-wall Salvadoran pupuserias in Mount Pleasant that cost $4 and blow your mind. You've got Vietnamese in Eden Center that rivals anything in California. We also have local American chains that have been here for decades and are known for great food and service. Those include Clyde's and Great American Restaurants. The best part, you don't need to chase what's hot. You just need to explore your neighborhood. Number 8, where people actually work, the economic engine. People hear DMV jobs and they think one thing. Bureaucrats in gray suits walking into brutalist government buildings carrying briefcases. And yeah, the federal government's still the sun that the solar system orbits around. But the gravity has shifted, especially in the last couple decades. The economy here is much more diverse than people give it credit for. Here's the breakdown locals understand. If you're in policy, media, or nonprofit, you're probably working in DC proper. DuPont Circle, Foggy Bottom, think tanks, advocacy groups, international organizations like the World Bank or IMF. That's the corridor of Save the World or Run the World jobs. But if you're in tech or startups, you're looking at Northern Virginia, specifically Arlington, Roslyn, and Ballston. Amazon's HQ2 changed the game completely a few years ago. It brought a center of gravity for high-growth tech that didn't really exist here a decade ago. We now have venture capital and a legit tech ecosystem. If you're in defense or contracting, the Beltway Bandits, as they used to be called, that is Tyson's Corner, Reston, and Herndon. Giants like Northrop Grumman, Booz Allen, Leidos, these are massive companies employing tens of thousands of people, paying six figures to solve problems most of the public don't even know exist. And then there is healthcare and research. That's the Maryland side. Bethesda and Rockville, the NIH, the FDA, and the massive biotech corridor along I-270. If you're in the life sciences, this is arguably the top region in the country right now. This region isn't one market, it's 4 or 5 overlapping ones. If you move here, you aren't just getting a job, you're entering a network where everyone knows someone. That is real economic stability. Number 7, the type of people you meet, intellectual curiosity. There's a stereotype that DC people ask, what do you do within the first 30 seconds of meeting someone? And okay, that's true, we do that, I'm guilty of it. But it's not just about status or climbing the ladder. It's because the answers are actually fascinating. When people say the DMV is intense, what they really mean is that it is intellectually curious. You'll go to a happy hour and meet someone who works in climate policy at the State Department, standing next to someone building a cybersecurity startup, standing next to a nurse who just got back from a posting in Nairobi. These aren't people flexing, they're just living here. And I've had clients move here from the Midwest or the South who told me they didn't realize how much they were limiting their conversations till they got here. Not because people here are smarter, but because of the range of experiences is wider. Your coworker may have spent 3 years in Singapore, your neighbor works for the Library of Congress, the person you meet at your kid's soccer game might be a federal prosecutor or a researcher for NASA. That changes how you think, it changes what you talk about at brunch. You stop talking about the weather and you start talking about ideas. And if you're ambitious, not in a toxic, cutthroat way, but in a way I want to grow, the environment's contagious. You stop thinking small because the people around you aren't thinking small. Number 6, neighborhoods where life feels easy. Walkability. Let's talk about lifestyle design. This is the part people underestimate until they're sitting in traffic in their current city. The DMV has mastered the concept of the urban village. If you want to walk everywhere, you look at Navy Yard, Capitol Hill, or Ballston. You have your grocery store, probably a Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, or Harris Teeter, your luxury gym, your coffee shop, your bar, and the metro, all within a 10-minute walk. You stop needing your car for daily life, and that just isn't good for the environment, it's incredible for your mental health. But even if you go further out, if you want quieter tree-lined streets, you look at Delray in Alexandria or Tacoma Park in Maryland. These spots feel like small towns, you know your neighbors, and there's a main street with a butcher and a baker, but you're still about 20 minutes from the city center. This is where people stop living for the weekend and start enjoying random Tuesdays. You grab dinner at a neighborhood Thai spot on a Wednesday because it's a 5-minute walk. You walk to the farmer's market on a Saturday morning. You aren't driving 30 minutes on a highway just to go do something. And I have to mention the trails, the W&OD Trail in Virginia, the Capitol Crescent Trail in Maryland, and the District. These are super highways for bikes and runners. You can literally commute to work on a bike path without fighting cars. Once you experience that level of connectivity, it's very hard to go back to suburban sprawl where a gallon of milk requires a 15-minute drive. Number 5, transit and travel, airports and metro. Let's be honest, most American cities don't have great public transit. The DMV's isn't perfect, but it's functional, and that puts it in the top 1% of the country. Locals don't say public transit, they say, where's the metro? Living near a metro stop, whether it's Metro Center, Bethesda, or Clarendon, changes your life. You can read a book on your way to work instead of fighting road rage on 66 or 95. And yeah, we complain about the metro, we complain about delays, we complain about track work, but when you compare it to sitting in gridlock, it's a lifesaver. But the real secret weapon of the DMV? Travel connectivity. If you travel for work or fun, this is the best place to live on the East Coast. You have 3 major airports. Number 1, DCA, Reagan National. You can take a metro to the airport. I have clients who leave their office in DC at 4 p.m. and they're at their gate by about 4:40 p.m. That's unheard of in New York or LA. IAD or Dulles, the international gateway, direct flights to London, Tokyo, Dubai, Paris, and more, and now the Silver Line goes all the way there. BWI, Baltimore Washington International, this is the budget-friendly Southwest hub. And if you hate flying, you have Union Station, you can hop on an Amtrak Acela and be in town down Philly in 90 minutes or in New York in 3 hours. You're connected to the world here in a way that very few other regions can claim. Number 4, free culture and history. Locals forget how wild this is, but I need you to really hear this. The Smithsonian museums are free, all of them. The Natural History Museum, Air and Space Museum, American History, the Portrait Gallery, and so on and so on. In New York or Chicago, a family of 4 is dropping $100 to $150 just to walk in the door. Here, you walk in for free. This changes how you use them. You don't just have to plan a museum day. You can just pop in and out of the National Gallery of Art for 20 minutes on your lunch break to look at a Da Vinci, and then leave. The National Zoo, you can just go see the pandas or the elephants for an hour on a Saturday. And the National Mall, it's your backyard. It's not just a tourist trap. It's where we play kickball. It's where we go for runs. It's where we meet for picnics. I've had clients tell me they spend more on museum tickets in one weekend visiting another city than they did on groceries for a month. But it's more than just museums, it's living in history. Sure, you'll see motorcades, you'll see protests, you'll also see inaugurations, if you want. You are front row to history being made. There are outdoor concerts at the Wharf, Jazz in the Garden in the summer. The cultural access here is democratized, and it's not just for the wealthy, it's for everyone. Number 3, seasons you experience, not just survive. Let's talk about the weather because people panic about this. The DMV gives you 4 distinct seasons, but you don't have to survive them like you do in Minnesota or Florida. Spring, everyone knows the cherry blossoms. Late March, early April, the whole city turns pink. It's magical, but the weeks after that, April and May, are arguably the best weather in America. 70 degrees, breezy and green, the azaleas pop, the dogwoods bloom, it's pretty stunning. Fall, this is my favorite season. October and November here are incredible. Rock Creek Park turns bright orange and red, the humidity breaks, it's sweater weather. Summer, okay, I'm gonna be real here, I promised honesty. July and August are hot and humid. Especially August. It's the swamp. We don't hide that, but that's why everyone escapes to the rooftop pools or drives an hour to the bay or 3 hours to the beach, especially in August. Winter, it's usually mild. Coming from the Northeast or Midwest, it's a joke. We get a couple of snow scares. Schools close if there's a threat of ice, but the snow usually melts in a couple days. Every once in a while, we get a big storm. You get the aesthetic of winter, the coats, the hot chocolate, the holiday markets, without the misery of shoveling snow from your driveway for 4 months straight. Number 2, where fun actually happens, nightlife and sports. There's a myth that DC is boring or buttoned up. That might have been true 30 years ago, not so true now. If you want nightlife, we've got U Street, 14th Street, the H Street corridor. U Street's got historic jazz clubs, the dive bars, and DC also has massive venues like the Capital One Arena or the 930 Club or the Anthem at the Wharf. Clarendon and Virginia is your spot for post-college energy rooftop bars and beer gardens. The Wharf is newer, polished waterfront dining where you can take a date or a client and look like a rock star. You can do that in National Harbor too. We also have to talk about sports. Even if our teams break our hearts, and they do often, it's a massive sports town. The Caps, hockey, the Nats baseball, the Commanders football, the Wizards basketball, DC United soccer, Mystic women's basketball. Lots to choose from, but going to a Nats game on a summer night, grabbing a half smoke and watching the president's race, it's a tradition. And if you want a different kind of fun, drive 40 minutes west into Loudoun County. You're in DC's wine country, dozens of wineries and breweries with incredible views of the rolling hills. You can go from a high-rise city apartment to a vineyard in under an hour on the weekend. The fun is here, you just have to know where to look. And number 1, why people don't leave, the stickiness factor. I coach real estate agents across the country. I talk to people in dozens of markets, and here's the number 1 thing I've noticed about the DMV. Once people build their life here, they rarely leave. We call it the velvet trap or golden handcuffs, but it's more than that. People move here for a job thinking they will stay for 2 years. 10 years later, they're still here. Why? Because of opportunity density. In most cities, you have to compromise. If you want a high-paying career, you have to live in a concrete jungle just like New York City. If you want good schools and trees, you have to live in a boring suburb with very little culture. If you want culture, you have to sacrifice safety. In the DMV, you don't have to choose. Within a 15-mile radius, you have some of the highest paying jobs in the country, some of the best school districts in the country, and also you've got the incredible cultural access and authentic diversity. You build your routine here, you find your favorite coffee shop, your metro stop, your running trail, you build a network of friends who are doing interesting things. And when you look at moving somewhere else, the math just doesn't quite add up. Everywhere else feels like a compromise. Oh, that city's cheaper, but the job market is smaller. Oh, that city has great weather, but the schools aren't as good. The DMV is expensive, I won't sugarcoat it. Housing's high, traffic can be a real headache, but the ROI, the return on investment on your life, can be incredibly high. People stay because this region gives you the tools to build exactly the life you want, whether that's a high-powered city life or a quiet suburban existence. And that is why, despite the traffic and the humidity, we love it here. So that's it. Those are the 10 deep structural reasons why people move to the DMV and why they stay. It's a place of micro-regions, incredible food, recession-proof jobs, generally, and a lifestyle that actually balances ambition with enjoyment. If you're thinking about moving here, or maybe you're already here and trying to figure out if you should rent in Arlington or buy in Bethesda, we'd love to help. We do this every single day. We don't just find you a house, we help you find your version of the DMV. We help you figure out the commute, the schools, and your vibe. Drop a comment below with your biggest question about moving here. Is it the traffic, the cost? Let me know. And if this was helpful, please hit subscribe. I'm putting out deep dive videos every week on the DMV, specific neighborhood tours, and the truth about real estate here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around the DMV.